Once again, the world has stood by and watched Africa bleed from its own wounds. Wounds deepened, not by the people, but by the hypocrisy of those who pretend to care. Every time the people of Africa complain of their entrenched dictators and their corrupt regimes, the so-called defenders of democracy, that is, the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, the European Union, members of the Commonwealth, and even the United Nations, they are quick to say it is upon the people of Africa to fix their own problems. They say, don't look up to us. Take ownership. Change your systems. But the question tonight is this. Now, can Africans change their systems when the very countries, the very leaders preaching democracy are the first to endorse the dictators who destroy it? Let's look at Cameroon. On October 12th, Cameroonians went to the polls with a rare sense of hope. For the first time in more than 4 decades, they believed a new dawn was possible. They voted peacefully and overwhelmingly for change. They voted for Issa Chiroma Bakari, a man who, whether you like him or not, was the people's choice in that election. But what happened? The results were stolen. The electoral system, controlled by the regime, announced another fake victory for a 93-year-old emperor, who has ruled for 42 long years. Within Yaoundé, everyone knows the truth. The people know it. The opposition knows it. And yes, the diplomatic community knows it too. Every embassy, every foreign observer, every analyst knows exactly what happened in that election. They saw the manipulation. They read the numbers. They received the reports. And yet, what did they do? They congratulated Paul Biya. The United States Embassy in Yaoundé put out a mild message on social media, and I quote, acknowledging his inauguration, as if acknowledging a crime scene were an act of diplomacy. Others followed suit, the UK, the French, even Canada. They acknowledged inauguration. The same Canadian whose leaked internal memo warns that Cameroon is heading into a prolonged civil war under Biya's illegitimate rule. How do you call that diplomacy, ladies and gentlemen? No, that is complicity. The hypocrisy is breathtaking. If Paul Biya were an American citizen, would he even be allowed to stand for elections at 93 years old? Let's be honest. The United States was deeply divided over Joe Biden running again at 82. The debates in Washington, D.C. were about whether Biden at 82 was too old to lead America. So I ask, if Biden at 82 was too old for America, how can Biya at 93 be good for Cameroon? If the American people rejected a younger leader, why do they think Cameroonians deserve an even older one? This is the question the United States Embassy in Yaoundé must answer. You cannot tell Africans to fix their own systems, then turn around and endorse the man they reject. You cannot stand for democracy in Washington, in Brussels, and defend tyranny in Yaoundé. This is not diplomacy. This is deception. It is hypocrisy of the highest order. Let's look beyond Cameroon for a moment. In 2020, Tanzanians went to the polls. The people voted massively against John Magufuli's ruling party. The opposition candidate, Tundu Lissu, was leading in several regions in that country. But when the regime realized it was losing, the Electoral Commission shut down internet access, silenced journalists, and declared Magufuli winner and declared him winner by 80%. The world knew it was false. Observers knew it was a sham. Yet the diplomatic corps from the United States to the United Kingdom issued the same recycled statement. We urge all parties to remain calm, and respect the rule of law. We hear that again and again, isn't it? Remain calm when their votes have been stolen. Respect the rule of law when the law itself is being broken. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the curse of Africa. The double standard that treats African democracy as a sideshow, not a principle. Back to Cameroon. The hypocrisy runs even deeper. The same Western powers that claim to stand for human rights are endorsing a man who no longer even recognizes the people he claims to rule. Paul Biya is not governing. He is being wheeled in for national appearances like a museum piece, an exhibit of what happens when the West mistakes silence for stability. Everyone knows his health is failing. Everyone knows the man is no longer fit to lead. Yet he is paraded once again as Mr. President for life. Because the West prefers a docile dictator they can predict to a new leader they cannot control. And then tomorrow, when the country burns, when citizens are beaten, when protesters are shot, and when refugees flee into Europe and North America, the same West will start preaching again, and I quote, "We condemn the violence. We urge restraint. Restraint from what and from who? From the people you betrayed? When those same refugees apply for asylum in your countries, they will be told to go home and fix their own problems. The same problems created by the very Western endorsement of the dictators they are fleeing from. It's a vicious circle, sort of. One that keeps repeating itself from Zimbabwe to Uganda, from Congo to Equatorial Guinea, and now to Cameroon. Do we remember Kenya in 2007? The West congratulated Mwai Kibaki despite credible evidence that Raila Odinga had won. The result? More than 8,000 people killed in post-election violence. Do we remember Egypt in 2014? Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, who seized power with a gun or through a coup, was endorsed. And how about Ibrahim Traore? No, he is not endorsed because the West doesn't like him. But Sisi was endorsed and welcomed by Western capitals, even as he jailed thousands of his own citizens. And now Cameroon, the same story, different flag. The Western message to Africa is clear. Democracy is good only when it produces leaders we like. And how long will this continue? They say Africa must fight for change. But how do you fight for change when the referee is working for the other team? When you go to the polls, cast your vote, and before the ink dries, Washington, London, Brussels, Paris are already congratulating the loser. This is not democracy, this is theater. And so I ask the diplomatic corps in La République du Cameroon, in Yaoundé, tonight, the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada and the EU, the United Nations, what exactly are you congratulating in Yaoundé? What exactly? Are you congratulating 43 years of oppression? Are you congratulating unemployment, corruption, and collapse? Are you congratulating a regime that has killed thousands in the southern Cameroon's Amazonia, displaced millions, and silenced every voice of dissent? Because if that is what you are congratulating, then you are not partners of the people. You are not partners of democracy. You are accomplices in their pain. Do not tell Cameroonians or Africans that their country is unstable when you are the ones stabilizing their oppressor. Do not tell them not to protest when you have shut every other door to justice. How do you beat the child and expect him not to cry? Cameroonians have been beaten, bruised, and buried under one ruler, for 42 years. 42 years. How can they not cry? You cannot say the country is burning when you are the ones lighting the match. You cannot say we are concerned about human rights when you have just legitimized the man violating them. No. The way for Africa to fix its problems is not through the West endorsing fraudulent elections and dictators. It is for the West to stand by the truth, to demand that every vote be verified, polling station by polling station, region by region. If Mr. Biya truly won, let them show the evidence. Let them present the tally sheets. Let them open the electoral database to international scrutiny. They cannot. They will not. Because they cannot. So to the diplomats in Yaoundé I say, do your job or stop pretending. Do your job or stop pretending. Either stand for democracy or stop preaching it to us. Do not congratulate a dictator and then come crying when the country collapses under the weight of your own hypocrisy. Cameroon is bleeding. The people are crying. And the world that claims to be the guardian of democracy is looking the other way. This is not just unfair. It is immoral and it is evil. It is evil. So tonight, let the record show. The people of Cameroon voted for change. It was stolen from them. Not just by the regime in Yaoundé, but by the silence and the complicity of those who claim to stand for freedom. The emperor has no clothes. The world knows it. The diplomats know it. And the people, the long-suffering people, determined they will never forget it.